Elihu now was introduced to us. Verse 3 said, also against his 3 friends was his wrath kindled, because they had found no answer, and yet had condemned Job. You see, he was also angry with his friends, with the 3 friends, because they condemned Job and they could not give him the solution, answer he needs. Verse 4 said, now Elihu had waited till Job had spoken, because they were elder than he. When Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these 3 men, then his wrath was kindled. And Elihu the son of Barachel the Buzite answered and said, I am young, and ye are very old, wherefore I am afraid, and does not show you mine opinion. I said, days should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom. But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. Wow, hallelujah. There's a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. Great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment. Therefore I said, hearken to me, and I will show mine opinion. Behold, I waited for your words, I gave ear to your reasons, while ye searched it out what to say. Yea, I attended unto you, and behold, there was none of you that convinced Job, or that answered his words. You know, reading back to that verse 8, he said, but there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth him understanding. I feel he's trying to say something, underline it. You know, I said Lucifer possessed Eliphaz, and the other friends also were also possessed with the other 2 kings. Now to Elihu, because of the way he is going to speak, you will see that he has been possessed by the 4th king. That first king, the first king we talked about in the introduction of the kings, that one that changed from beast into a man. Okay? He is the one that possessed Elihu. With the way Elihu is speaking, okay, you see what he's saying. Okay, he is about to answer Job, and also to respond to his friends, because they could not give Job the solution. Let's read in chapter 32, 12 to 13. Job 32, 12 to 13. 12 said, yea, I attended unto you, and behold, there was none of you that convinced Job, or that answered his words, lest he should say, we have found out wisdom. You can see wisdom has been a question, but now he said, these people, none of them should claim that they've answered Job, lest they would have said they have found wisdom. God trusted him down, not man. See? Now he had not directed his words against me, neither will I answer him with your speeches. You can see one of his built is built with perfect knowledge. See? Also in that 33, if you read, there's something I want us to see in that Job 33. What he feels about man. Okay. Job 33. I'll read from 8. I'll read from verse 8, and I'll read fast because it's a bit long. Job 33, 8 says, surely thou hast spoken in my hearing, and I have heard the voice of thy word, saying, I am clean without transgression, I am innocent, neither is iniquity in me. Behold, he findeth occasions against me, he counted me for his enemy. He putteth my feet in the stocks, he marketh all my paths. Behold, in this dost thou are not just. And I will answer thee that God is greater than man. Why dost thou strive against him? For he giveth not account of any of his matters. For God speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not. Now, hear what he's going to say here. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men in slumberings upon the bed, then he opened the ears of men and sealed their instruction. You see, almost this same thing that happened to Eliphaz, being possessing of men. That's what he's saying here. You see, how they possess men now. He said that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man. He keepeth back his soul from the pit and his life from perishing by the sword. Okay, you can see this verse 17, that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man. He's talking about if Job will have someone that will possess him, to withdraw man from his purpose. The purpose of man in the first dispensation is for destruction. So he's talking of withdrawing that purpose from man. Hide pride from man. Let me just read on and you see. He keepeth back his soul from the pit and his life from perishing by the sword. You see, possessing man, taking over man, to withdraw man from his purpose of destruction, to keep back his soul from perishing by the sword. Is it? 19 said, he is chastened also with pain upon his bed, and the multitude of his bones with strong pain, so that his life abhorred bread and his soul dainty meat. His flesh is consumed away, that it cannot be seen, and his bone that were not seen stick out. Yea, his soul draweth near unto the grave, and his life to the destroyers. If there be a messenger with him, an interpreter, one among 1,000, to show unto man his uprightness. You see the way this king thinks now about Job. Now, if you have a messenger, if you have someone that will stand for you to show you his uprightness. 24. Then he is gracious unto him and said, deliver him from going down to the pit. I have found a ransom. Now, who is speaking here? He said, then God will be gracious to that messenger and say to the messenger, deliver that man from going down to the pit, because I have found a ransom. You can see a man, someone who has discovered wisdom and understanding, the way he thinks about men now. That what man need now is a messenger, someone who will speak to God about his uprightness. You know, just like when they go to the presence of God, just like Lucifer said, man cannot be due to God's perfectness. You understand? So, but him now is saying someone, a messenger who will stand to tell God about how possible man can stand in uprightness. You know, he said, then God will be gracious to this man and ask him to go and deliver man from going down to the pit, because he has found a ransom. Because the messenger now is a ransom. He said his flesh shall be fresher than a child. Talking about man now. He shall return to the days of his youth. He shall pray unto God, and he will be favourable unto him, and he shall see his face with joy, and he will render unto man his righteousness. He looketh upon me. He's asking if there can be this opportunity for man. You know, that's messenger. That's what he has in mind, because he has found wisdom and understanding. You see, he will deliver his soul from going to the pit, and his life shall see the light. That's verse 28. 29 said, lo, all these things worketh God oftentimes with man, to bring back his soul from the pit, to be enlightened with the light of the living. Mark well, O Job, hearken unto me, hold thy peace, and I will speak. Now, even this, though this book of Job was written in a silver dispensation, it also depicts the activities of the golden dispensation, the story of the kings and men, how they all relate to man. You can see that fourth king, that one that changed to man, how he went in search for wisdom, he found wisdom, and what he feels afterwards about man, because he has seen the life of man is just wasted. Men just live and die and go. See? So let's look at chapter 36, 2 to 3. Chapter 36, 2 to 3. It's still Elihu speaking. Job 36, 2 to 3 says, suffer me a little, and I will show thee that I have yet to speak on God's behalf. You can see now, he claims that he's speaking on God's behalf. 3 said, I will fetch my knowledge from afar, and I will ascribe righteousness to my Maker. See? So you see how Elihu, that first king, what he feels about God. And you can look also his communication, what he said. You can read the other scriptures and see how he feels about God too. How the first king feels about God and how he feels about man. And after Elihu completed his statement, that's when God now responded to Job. God now showed himself to Job with his voice, and Job was able to hear, and after he has learned wisdom, he was able to acknowledge where he went wrong. But God was happy with him. And I always like reading that part. Let's look at Job, the last verse, Job 42, verse 1. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thoughts can be withholden from thee. Who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered that I understood not, things too wonderful for me, which I knew not. Here I beseech thee, and I will speak, and I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear. You see, men, they hear of God just like this our dispensation. They know God is there. It's all what we have heard. They say, but now mine eyes have seen thee. A special thing happened to Job. It's not that he saw God physically, but he was able to hear the voice of God and knows that God is speaking. These times we hear from God, from the Spirit, and we know God is speaking. But in that first dispensation, it was rare. They don't have it. But Job was able to get it from after this several discourse and this relationship, discussion with his friends and the rest of it. He was able to hear the voice from God. See, he said, I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye has seen thee. He only heard God, he didn't see God. That's what I said. Wherefore I abhor myself and repent in dust and ashes. He repented from all what he said after hearing from God. And although he saw the white wind, he didn't see God. But you can see he repented, and God healed him and restored back all what he lost. He was able to get more children, get more wealth, and the rest of it. For Job's 3 friends, God spoke to them to go and apologize to Job, give him gifts, and just apologize so that Job will pray for him. So You can see Lucifer, death and hate, the way they feel about men, feeling superior to man, going to tell man sorry, and allowing man to pray for them because they needed the prayer, the forgiveness of man, because God was annoyed with what to the extent at which took the discourse to. So, but Job was able to pray for his friends, and God restored to him all that he has lost, and that's the story. So, go through and see that for yourself, and how wonderful it is. So, we see Lucifer, death and hate, and the first king showing themselves in the story of Job. So you can just take the book of Job as an assignment, and you will see more than I just gave you now. So let's move forward. Now we'll go to Ecclesiastes chapter 4 verse 1. Want to see a bit of what happened to men in the first dispensation. Ecclesiastes 4:1. It says, "So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun. And behold, the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter. And on the side of their oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter." You see, that's how it happened in the first dispensation. That's just a summary of the life of men. They were distressed, oppressed at every side, but there was no comforter. You can see the fourth king, the way he was thinking that if there could be someone, a messenger who will stand for Job, who will speak good things for Job, speaking, trying to introduce a comforter. But the life of men then, there was no comforter. Let's look at Lamentation, chapter 1, 8 to 9. Lamentation 1, 8 to 9 says, "Jerusalem had grievously sinned, therefore she is removed. All that honored her despise her, because they have seen her nakedness. Yea, she sighted and turned backwards. Her filthiness is in her skirts. She remembers not her last end." She remembered not her last end. Talking about that first dispensation. "Therefore she came down wonderfully. She had no comforter. O Lord, behold my affliction, for the enemy has magnified himself." See, just as the first dispensation, where there was no comforter, Jerusalem in the second dispensation, where this scripture that I'm reading now is taken from, they're facing the same, a time where there was no comforter. Also, verse 16 of this Lamentation 9, it says, "For these things I weep, my eye runneth down with water, because the comforter that should relieve my soul is far from me. My children are desolate, because the enemy prevailed." See, that's the life of men in the first dispensation. See, men were taken as nothing. See, you see the way Lucifer spoke through Eliphaz, in that Job chapter 4 from verse 15. He said, where you see the way Eliphaz spoke, where he said, "Shall a man be more just than God? Shall a man be pure than his maker? Behold, he put no trust in his servant, and his angels he charged with folly. How much less is them that dwell in the house of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, which are crushed before the moth." No. So The way Lucifer failed is the reason why he became wicked. No, he started introducing different kind of wickedness to men and possessing men to make men live that kind of life. No, it was the reason for suffering and poverty of men. See, so uh now we see this how men lived in that first dispensation. So now I want us to see more about the first king.
First of all, I would like us to see from Job chapter 32. Let's just, I talked about Elihu representing that if we want to know the kings, we can look through the story of Job. And Elihu represented the first king among the four friends of Job. So in Job 32, let's just see a little bit about Elihu, the kind of person he is. And with that, we can relate it directly to the personality of the first king. So let me read from verse 1. That's Job 32 from verse 1. It says, So these three men ceased to answer Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then was kindled the wrath of Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite of the kindred of Ram, against Job, and was his wrath kindled because he justified himself rather than God. Also against his three friends was his wrath kindled because they had found no answer and yet had condemned Job. Now Elihu had waited till Job had spoken, because they were elder than he. When Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these three men, then his wrath was kindled. And Elihu the son of Barakah the Buzite answered and said, I am young, and ye are very old. Therefore I was afraid, and does not show mine opinion. I said, days should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom. But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. So um, just look at the kind of person he is, the sense of, humility, and his show of understanding. You can see it makes a difference. He, all the while the three friends of Job were speaking to Job, he didn't mention a word, even though he was there. He waited till everybody spoke, and now he was about to give his opinion, and we can see how his opinion counted very well to help Job. So you can see, if you look through the rest of the stories about Elihu, you see the personality of this king in through the words of Elihu. You can understand his personality. We also look at Deuteronomy chapter 32. He's a king and he has his people. So let's see how he works with his people. In Deuteronomy 32, I'll just read from 11 to 15.
15, 32, 11 to. It says, As an eagle stirred up her nest, fluttered over her young, spreaded above her wings, taketh them, bare them on her wings, so the Lord alone did lead him.
No wonder in Daniel 7 verse 4, when we saw about him, he mentioned his look like him with eagle wings. See? So let me go on. Verse 13. He made him ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the field. Wow. And he made him to suck honey out of the rock and oil out of the flinty rock. butter of kine and milk of sheep, with fat of lambs and rams of the breed of Bashan, the goats, and with fat of kidney of wheat, and thou didst drink the pure blood of the grape. Wow. You can see, made everything, provide everything necessary for his people. Every good thing. You know, there are other kings. And when we're looking at Job, through the story of Job, you see the way the other kings think. What is man? But look at this first king. He's one among the other kings, but look at how he takes his people. He really saw something worth it in them. But let's see what verse 15 said in this Deuteronomy 32. He said, But Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked, thou art waxing fat, that are grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook God which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. You see? But the people, when they had enjoyed so much enjoyment, then they forsook their king, who made this opportunity for them. We know there's the king, Lucifer, who wants to ride over all men. He is there. He has been knocking. Wants to get everybody to serve under him. Even this first king and his people. But he start getting into the people of the first king. He said, then they forsook God, forsook their king. Let's also look at Jeremiah chapter 9. Jeremiah chapter 9. From verse 1 to 5. Jeremiah 9, 1 to 5 says, Oh, that my head were waters, and my eyes a fountain of tears, that I might weep day and night for the slain of the daughter of my people. You see, he's talking about his people. Want to weep for his people. Oh, that I had in the wilderness. Now, this is the king talking. Oh, that I had in the wilderness a lodging place of wayfaring men, that I might leave my people and go from them, for they be all adulterers and assemblies of treacherous men. You see the way he feels now about his people. Oh, he wished that there's a better place he can go. He said, oh, that I had in the wilderness a lodging place of wayfaring men. See an idea coming for him to leave his people now. That I might leave my people and go from there, for they be all adulterers and assembly of treacherous men. He didn't raise them to be like this. But suddenly, they became like this. They have looked into the ideas of the other people around them, the other nations around them. He was raising them, judiciously, because the Father has given them into his hands. But he's now thinking to leave them and go away. No wonder Job 28, he told us of him going in search of wisdom and understanding, and he found it. He knew there would be a way out, and he went in search of what will make him to be a better king. And he found it, wisdom and understanding. See him thinking it here in Jeremiah 9:2. To get a good picture, let's look at what Jesus himself said in Luke chapter 19. Let's see this. This is the situation and the scenario of the first king and his people. In Luke chapter 19, I'll read from verse 11. 27. Luke 19 from 11, it says, "And as they heard these things, he added and spake a parable because he was near to Jerusalem, and because they thought the kingdom of God should immediately appear. He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return." You see, he was going to leave his people, but he was not going to stay there forever. He's going to return back to his people. So let's continue to see the story. Verse 13 says, "And he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, Occupy till I come." See, he has 10 servants, 10 type of people now. There are 10 type of people identified here. Occupy till I come. But his citizen hated him and sent a message after him, saying, we will not have this man to reign over us. And it came to pass that when he was returned, having received the kingdom, then he commanded these servants to be called unto him, to whom he had given the money, that he might know how much every man had gained by trading. Then came the first, saying, Lord, thy pound had gained 10 pounds. And he said unto him, Well, thou good servant, because thou hast been faithful in a very little, have thou authority over 10 cities. And the second came, saying, Lord, thy pound had gained 5 pounds. And he said likewise to him, Be thou also over 5 cities. And another came, saying, Lord, behold, here is thy pound, which I have laid up in a napkin. For I feared thee, because thou art an austere man. Thou takest up that thou layest not down, and reapest that thou did not sow. And he said unto him, Out of thine own mouth will I judge thee, thou wicked servant. Thou knowest that I was an austere man, taking up that I laid not down, and reaping that I did not sow. Wherefore then thou givest not thou my money into the bank, that at my coming I might have required mine own with usury. And he said unto them that stood by, Take from him the pound, and give it to him that had 10 pounds. And they said unto him, Lord, he had 10 pounds. For I say unto you that unto every one which had shall be given, and from him that had not, even what he had shall be taken away from him. But those my enemies which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither, that I might slay them before me. Now, when he went there to receive the kingdom, he got wisdom and understanding, and he was back. We can see in Job, Job was one of his people. When he got back, you can see Job was in trouble. But the good thing with Job is that he still had the word, still fear his God. And we see through how it ended for Job. Job was able to not only recover what he has lost, but got a multiple effect of blessing. King came back for his people. In this Luke 19 now, when he came back, at first he said he has 10 type of people. Now, but when he came back, you see the first type of people, in the first person, that he grew that 1 pound into 10. The second grew that 1 pound into 5. These two did well, even though one did outstanding. And the third among his people hide his pound, because he also felt he did not like the king, and the king was a hard man also. This is the way they felt about the king. But at least 2 were able to do something with what he gave them. Now, what about the 7? They all hated their king, that even the pound he gave them, they didn't do anything with it. And we saw how those seven, he called them his enemies in verse 27. He said, but those my enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. For those seven, they all got destroyed. They didn't know they had the best king. And they complained and had unruly character. They didn't want him, Probably he was too soft, and, because of his softness, they took it over him. If they had Lucifer as their king, they would see a difference. And look at now, he had, because the third one that did not do anything with the pound he gave, he still collected what he gave him and gave to the one who has 10. See, for him who have more will be given. See, there's the one who have 5 now. How will he feel that he has only 5 kingdom, and this one that was free now was given to the one who have 10? Yes, because there's a way. He's a man of wisdom and understanding now. There's a way he thinks. See, so the one who can do more will be encouraged more. So you can see when he got back, it was left to 2 kinds of people now, because they thought the other 7 and this one lad that didn't do anything with it, we can see how they ended. So this is the story of how it happened with the first king in the golden dispensation.
Now, about the whole work, God has given these responsibilities to this king. And we've seen that man mean like nothing, because they die like nothing. They are not expecting judgment. What about these kings? What would be their reward? If you look at Isaiah chapter 14, Isaiah 14, 13 to 14. He said, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. Now, this Isaiah 14 talking about Lucifer. Okay? So he said, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High. Now, this is Lucifer talking. This is what he's saying. He's saying this. Now, the way he said it is the problem, not what he said. Because this is actually the plan, God's plan for them. Just the way now we know what we are expecting. Okay? This is what what he was expecting. You see? He's ascending into the heavens and to be above men, right? Then he said he will sit also, he will also sit upon the mount of the congregations in the sight of the north. Now, where God is, okay, this is what their reward now, what is supposed to get. That being in heaven, being above man, and being in the mount where God is seated, he will sit also among that congregation. That's being a part of the congregation of God. That's become like one with God. And he is claiming also a position of the north. That's the place where God is. Being in the same place where God, the Almighty God, is. That's what Lucifer was saying to himself. Now, he's not just even saying to himself, that's the way he was feeling. He said, I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High. He knows his reward. This is actually his reward. He knows this is what is going to be his reward. But the way he feel about it became the problem. Now, it's just like someone who is being raised to become a king. You know, he knows this is what is the prince already. I'm a prince, so I'll become a king someday. And they are raising him for this. So that's what Lucifer is trying to say. I will be one someday. I'll be sitting in this throne of the king. Now the problem is not him saying it. The problem is he said it with pride. He and the way he said it, if you read, he acknowledged it as if he was going to do all that by his power. I'm reading it again. He said, "For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into the heaven." That's I. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. That means I will be great. My throne will be great than the stars of God. Talking about the other men and angels. I will sit, that's the I, upon the mount of God in the sides of the north. Who gave you the opportunity? You know, not there's a way if you see someone humble who is humble speaking, you will know. Say, I've been given this opportunity and I'm going to be this with the opportunity that this person is giving. You see some people speak sometimes and they say, "Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be on this platform." They might be speaking on a platform that belongs to a leader or someone, and being given the opportunity, they will acknowledge, there was no remorse, no humility in him. He was speaking with pride, even though that's what he deserved, but his pride was his fall. Oh, I don't think in the world there's any opportunity, any good thing that can happen to anybody like this. You know, being given the opportunity to enter into the God zone. We know God is the greatest, He's the highest. He's the everything. He's the best. Now, see this opportunity given to these four kings. No. To sit in the same table with God, enter into that God zone, possess the same powers that God possesses, sit upon that throne. Who can do this? This shows me how perfect God is. Perfect. If you want to know how perfect God is this opportunity He gave to these ones, so that they can get everything, as much you can get, as much as what He has, as much as you can get. Giving them the same title, the same power, the same opportunity, the same throne. Whenever I think about this, it's the perfectness of God. How perfect is God? This is how you see it. God has made it so for these four kings, and though they were on earth, it's their duty. They know at the end of everything, this will be their reward. They are aware of it. But we see Lucifer speaking about it and how he feels. He's not the only one that knows what is coming, but God has shown us, the problem the problem. There was no humility. So, but to become that, to become what God wants them to be, to partake of that reward, you know, there's a risk to it. They are still on earth, you know, still undergoing their training, to be part of what can make you perfectly the best of what you can be. We see Lucifer was made perfect in terms of what the earth demands. But now we are talking of having a reward of what the universe, being perfect in what the universe demands, possessing that perfect power, authority. So there's a risk to it. So now the kings were carrying out their activities, which is their training, and hoping for that day where they will get opportunity to take that power and enter into that God zone. I want to read Romans chapter 8 verse 20. Romans chapter 8 verse 20. He said, "For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who had subjected the same in hope." Okay? I would like to read this from the CJB Bible. From CJB Bible, it says, "For the creation was made subject to frustration, not willingly, but because of the one who subjected it. But it was given a reliable hope." See? Now, um, they had this hope there. They are made subject to what they were doing, but they all had, these four kings had hope. Ezekiel 28 shows us something. He said, as long as Lucifer was, as long as he was trading, he was perfect in all what he was doing until iniquity was found in him. Okay? Now, we need to understand something about iniquity. It's God that judge it. Okay? So it's beyond the senses of this world. Okay? You can be wise in the terms of this world and do all manner of things. But when it's what you do is dependent on the supervision of God, which is in heaven, that means you can go wrong. So you need a higher wisdom. So that ability of wisdom which Lucifer had, according to the world, he needed a higher ability, that's a higher wisdom, which can help him to function well towards God, because God was going to judge the whole of their work. And we see the first king, he went in search for it. He used his wisdom to go in search of. He knows there's something that he needs to be successful in that life, and he got hold of the wisdom of God, and wisdom and understanding of God. Okay? So while Lucifer remained with the wisdom of this world, he went ahead, the first king went ahead to get the wisdom of God. And you can see here, Romans is telling us that they are all made subject to these activities. not willingly, but because of God has put them there and He has given them a reliable hope. Okay, you can see Lucifer, what Lucifer was speaking about, the hope he has to one day sit in the place of the north, that's in the heavens where God is seated. Okay, so this opportunity was given by God, even though the success is dependent on the participants. Okay, the kings, the success was dependent on them because they all have this hope. So, now the day came to enter the God zone. The day came. That day now came for them. Something happened and they were transformed from where we started in Daniel chapter 7. The four kings transformed. So something happened to them and they were transformed. I think we are about entering that now. Let's open to Psalm 48. Psalm 48. Let me go back to King James. Psalm 48. I'll read. It's 4 to 5. Psalm 48, verse 4 to 5. Okay. Verse 4 said, For lo, the kings were assembled, they passed by together, they saw it. Let me start from verse 1. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness. 2. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion on the sides of the north, the city of the great king. See, he's talking about God in God's presence, in God's place. He say on the sides of the north. Remember where Lucifer mentioned the side of the north, okay? Verse 3 says, God is known in her palaces for a refuge. Verse 4, For lo, the kings were assembled, they passed by together. Now, that verse 3 says, God is known in her palaces for a refuge. Okay? In this place now, God is the refuge of this place. Okay? This is the place where the four kings came. That's in that city, that great city. They came to a particular place in her palaces for then verse 4 said, For lo, the kings were assembled. These four kings now, they were assembled. They passed by together. They all came in together. Verse 5 said, They saw it, and so they marveled. They were troubled and hasted away. They saw it, they saw something, they partook of it, and they marveled. They were troubled and hasted away. 6 said, Fear took hold upon them there. Fear. Remember fear? Fear. It took hold upon them there, and pain as of a woman in travail. Now, take note of these two things. Now, the two experiences they have, one is fear, and the second experience is pain as of a woman in travail. That's a woman who is about giving birth, right? That pain that the woman go through. The first one is fear, and the second one is that pain that the woman go through. These are two different experiences. Okay, so let me read. Okay, We are coming back there, but let me read Revelation chapter 12. Revelation chapter 12. I'll read from verse 1 to 5. Revelation 12 from verse 1 says, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars." You see, this is talking about a particular environment. Okay, this woman is a particular environment. And she, where we read in Psalms talking about they came to a particular place where four of them started, they saw it, okay? This is referring to that same environment. This woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Is an environment. He said, and she, that woman, being with child, cried, travailing in bed, and pained to be delivered. You see, I said two experiences happened, okay? One is fear, and this is the second one. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in bed, and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast to the earth, and the dragon stood, but before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. See, and she brought forth a man child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God, to his throne. Now, that woman now gave birth to a child, the birth panel that come out of it. Okay, so now these kings, they had passed by, and as the thirst of that power of transformation, the transformation started, and while three of them were changing into the worst they can be, one of them was changing into the best. We can see here Revelation says a child, that's a man was born, but 3 changed into something else.
Hi everyone, you are welcome once again. Thanks for staying tuned to this channel of the message of the revelation of Jesus Christ. Thank you.